All right, we're going to try to do this before the cat decides he needs my attention and cuddles. So this is Module 4 for English 190 at SNHU for Professor Caldwell. And we are having a discussion board this week. Fun. But we're also going to be doing a Macmillan Achieve assignment, 4-1, which is a free writing assignment. This is for completion only, so don't worry about how horrible you think it is. We're going to get through it. Okay? It is worth 50 points, so that's 5% of your grade. I do recommend you completing this through the Macmillan Achieve, but I do not have a way to store it, so you will need the online textbook because that is the only way you can access this assignment. So we're going to adjust this real quick. And okay, so Module 4, when you go and look at what the assignment has, you're going to hit the free writing assignment. We're going to be patient. Please don't come up here, Ducky. All right, it is connecting. And I hope it doesn't take this long for you. Oh, look, the cat. I know. Hi. Okay. And why isn't it pulling up for me? Okay. There it is. That is open into questions. Do not show me again. I got it. I think we all have to hit the assignment. There it is. Now, you'll notice these little red circles. Oh, I have to try again. Okay. All right. See the red circle? Watch the red circle turn green into a check mark. Okay? Oh, you just missed the cat. Okay, so those are the most popular questions I get. And now we're going to go through the questions themselves. Cat, do not attack the feet. Okay, free writing is a technique of non-stop composing designed to loosen restraints we sometimes impose on our own thinking. Although free writing comes in many forms, the basic formula is simple. If you have never used free writing as a brainstorming activity, give it a try here. You will earn points for completing the exercise, but will not be assessed on the content of your writing. I can see your writing if I really need to, but generally that hasn't happened. Sorry about this. And your writing will not be eligible for credit if it will only be eligible for credit if it meets the character limit requirement. And you saw it's that red circle that turns into a green check mark. So the first box, we're going to write our subject or title in the box. Then we are going to, in the next box, write on the subject nonstop for 10 minutes. Don't stop typing, just write. If it's nonsense, it's fine. Just keep writing for 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, review what you have composed. I like to copy and paste that second box into a blank document so that I can not have to scroll up and down so much. Also, I can use it later, and I don't have to come back to this to see if I can find what I wrote. But the third box is we're going to stop and review. Then we're going to choose the most intriguing ideas, phrases, sentences, and copy it into the third box. And we're going to, next box, free write for another 10 minutes on that. Again, afterwards, I would copy and paste it back into that document just so I have it for later. And after you've finished, now that you've done free writing, there are many ways to move forward. Follow the path that works for you. There is no wrong way to move forward. These are just suggestions to help you move forward from free writing to drafting. You can take what you've written and start to organize it into an outline. You can take what you've written, find the most compelling ideas, and do another round of free writing. You can identify the questions, gaps in your understanding, and look for more resources to round out the argument. or you can work on distilling a revised thesis from your free write and identify 3 points in that will support the essay. Okay? Yeah. Fun stuff. I do recommend that you do this free writing exercise first before we move on to the discussion board. Why am I? It starts. Okay, there's the discussion. Okay. So for our 4-2 is our discussion. It is worth 75 points because this is a peer review. But we're still going to have the 1 initial post for Thursday in our time zone, midnight. And we need 2 responses by Sunday. Okay, so our initial post, we need to share the thesis statement that we're going to be working on for our essay. It doesn't have to be the final thesis statement, okay? Just the current one that we're working with. We're going to identify 2 key points and explain how they each support or how they each connect back to the thesis statement. And third, we're going to include any research, such as quotes and paraphrases, from the resources that will support the key points. I did make a sample post of this just to show you kind of like what we're doing. It is fake because, again, I just wanted to give you an example, and I could either spend time creating these videos or actually like doing the research, and I thought y'all would want the videos instead of the actual research example. So that's what I did. And I'm the instructor, so I get to do that. The sample post is, again, just an example. Okay, and then for our 2 classmates, if you can respond to your classmates, it just won't count towards your responses, okay? But we've got 2 responses that we're going to have by Sunday. Again, if you need over several days, go ahead and do that. We're going to provide feedback on the thesis and the key points, offer suggestions that might help our classmate refine the thesis statement and stronger connections between the key point and how they support the thesis statement. Last, we're going to identify opposing viewpoints that our peer will need to address within their essay. Explain how your peer can anticipate objections and respond to them within the essay paragraphs. So, essentially for our initial post, we're going to put our thesis and identify at least two key points and explain how they connect back to the thesis, and show from our sources anything that we have found that will support those key points. For the responses, we're going to look at our classmates' thesis and the key points and offer suggestions how they might refine the thesis or make stronger connections between the thesis and the key points. Then we're going to identify opposing viewpoints that our classmate will need to address within the persuasive essay. So if you think of a reason why your classmate's audience might think they're wrong, explain that to them very nicely, because we're going to be nice to each other in the discussion boards. And explain how they can anticipate these objections and respond to them within the essay. Okay? It's always nice to respond to classmates that don't have any responses. And if you have questions about someone's response to you, go ahead and ask them. Okay? Also, if someone's asked you a question about your response, if you can, also kind of help answer that so we can have a more in-depth conversation and clarify our thoughts. You'll notice for this rubric element, or with this rubric, come on, pick up, come on, okay. For this one, it's going to be different. The thesis statement, the key points, and the research in our initial post all have their own rubric element points. Likewise, our feedback with the thesis and key point and the feedback about the opposing viewpoints also have their own rubric element with points attached. Okay? So let's be sure that we answer all the prompts this week, especially because it all have rubric element points attached to it. And also, if you want to copy paste the responses you get into a document so you don't have to keep going back to the discussion board, that'd be a smart idea. Okay? Whew, that was a lot. And you got to see my cat. He was not a goblin today, so I am very happy. It was not much of a goblin. So, as always, email me questions, comments, concerns that you have, and let me know if we need to meet up on Zoom. Okay? And I'll talk to you next week. Bye.